And Dylan Shoemaker, head wrestling coach at Bremen, joins me. Man, you guys are off to a really good start. First of all, let me congratulate Mackenzie, your sister. She had a heck of a run and had a nice season at the state.
Yes, thank you.
And let's talk about your guys now. I mean, are they living up to what you thought? You've had some good wins. You had a good win at CMA.
Yeah, we've talked with the guys that, we kind of just went in with, the goal of just trying to wrestle the best that we can each time. And I think they're doing pretty good at that and just continuing to improve, you know. Hopefully, we haven't seen the peak yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've had some big wins. CMA the other night. I mean, they're usually really solid. You had a couple of those super dual wins. I mean, you got to feel pretty good about where you're at.
Yeah, we definitely have talked, with the guys, and they feel pretty good, but trying to, keep in mind that all this leads up to, what's going to start here in about a week.
Yeah.
It's this state tournament run. So we've just continued to, put the mindset in the guys. Hey, we haven't done anything yet. We're 0-0. Um, we got to go and let's go be 1-0. Just continuing to keep the momentum of, hey, we're not done yet, and we haven't done anything. We got to go prove ourselves that next time we step on that. So.
Talk about some of your guys. I mean, who's having a particularly good year for you?
I think there's quite a few that are having really good years. I have one kid, our 120, Nick Slusher. He's having a pretty good year. I know there was one or two tournaments that he had to sit out due to like weight loss program stuff. It add up, but he's currently undefeated and should see some good competition hopefully tomorrow as long as um, CMA's invite get canceled due to weather. Then we got our 126 and 122. The Moats twins, both of them have had really good years. Raylan, he's 32. He's only had one loss, and that's to Rochester. And then Collins had three losses. He lost twice to Rochester, and then once to a conference opponent, Cole Carp, which unfortunately got injured and couldn't finish out the season. So both of those three right there, 120 through 32, they're pretty stout for us. And then our 190, Derek Miller, having a pretty good season. And then our heavy, Logan Frederickson, he's got two losses on the year, and he's wrestling really well. So, and then everyone else, I can't just pick those kids out. The whole team's doing their. I know we got some newer kids in our lineup that just lack experience, but they're wrestling well. So.
I was going to say I've seen a lot of those guys. I mean, you got a lot of multi-sport guys there, and
Yep.
that I, I think that plays well for your program, for the programs they're involved with, because one thing they learn, especially in wrestling, they learn to compete.
Yep. A lot of our guys are, 2, 3 sport athletes, which is great, and their other coaches are, supportive. They come and stop by the room to check in to see how everything's going. They talk to those kids, and it's awesome just to see the support the other coaches are giving the kids.
Talk about the well, I don't want to say situation. The word I was thinking of a situation, but I mean, we're in an area where there are lots and lots of really good wrestlers, really good wrestling teams. How do you approach that with your guys? Because you're one of the smaller schools, obviously, and you got Mishawaka and some other folks around here that are really good. How do you approach that idea with they're going to be seeing those guys in the tournament?
Yep. So the biggest thing that that I kind of just force, and I just keep reminding our kids is, there's a college coach he's out in Iowa, and he just kind of put into his guys, why not us?
Yeah.
Who says it can't be us? So just giving those guys, we've had good season. We had a good season last year, but everyone's out there trying to take stuff away from us. But who says we can't do that again? And just trying to keep them hungry. I know, like you said, Mishawaka, they're pretty strong, solid team. You got Penn, that's solid, that we'll see at regionals. Um, South Bend Riley, Rochester's in our sectional, so it's and Warsaw too. And it's
Yeah.
just like trying to, convince our guys that hey, we're just as good as them, and why not? Why not us? It's our turn to step up and um, make a stand and just show them who Bremen Wrestling is. And I think our guys have done a pretty good job so far in doing that. I know a couple weeks ago we were hoping to get the vote in for state this season, but ultimately we didn't get that, and I think guys found that as motivation just to continue to get better. So with that in mind, we're trying to push. That way we do get that invite for next year.
Right. Well, let's talk about the postseason a little bit. I mean, okay. First of all, I don't know your standings in the conference. Where are you at there? Because you got a pretty tough conference for wrestling too.
Yeah. So last weekend at our conference tournament, and we won the team. We had 10 guys in the finals. 6 of those guys won. And then the other 4 took it to pretty solid wrestlers from other schools. So that is, we haven't lost to a conference team in a duel. I know we didn't duel Knox, but that was the only conference school that we haven't seen in a duel or a super duel one of the week we've leading up to our conference. So we had a really good showing at conference. And we kind of talked to the kids about that, like, hey, we can do it. Why not? I think we're even better than what we were last year. And we went out and showed that we're here, and we're gonna compete with the best.
What sectional are you in? Are you in the? You said you're in with Warsaw. Where's that going to be?
Yep. So our sectional is going to be held at Plymouth.
Okay.
So that's where we go next weekend.
Yeah, I've covered that one before, and there's a lot of teams in there that. I mean, it seems like that could be wide open too.
Yep. I think it's it's a tough one. I know Rochester was kind of down last year, but they got their guys back. I think if we go out and wrestle and do our part, I think we'll compete up there with Rochester and Warsaw. The returning sectional champ from last year. So I think it's just as long as we stay healthy and continue on our way, wrestling hard and head down and don't worry about what happens. We just got to go out and score the next points.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. And as you get further down the road, maybe we can talk about some of your guys getting, well, hopefully all the way down to the state this year.
Thanks. I'm hoping we can get a couple guys down there just to match our girl success that we had. So fingers crossed everything works out, and we can talk later about that.
That's Dylan Shoemaker, the head wrestling coach at Bremen, and we will be right back. And Plymouth Lady Pilgrim head basketball coach Michaela Shalio joins us. It's been a rough stretch for you guys, but it's all been on the road too. I mean that's just a hard part of the season anyway. But to fight that with a young team on the road has got to be frustrating for everybody.
Yeah, we keep coming down to being in really tight games outside of the St. Joe game, and we're right there. We just can't get on top, and it just comes down to execution, and that comes down also to just some experience, and that's something that they're gaining right now. And I do feel like we are getting better. We competed really well against St. Joe, and we were more aggressive. We got 28 points in the paint. Um, Concord, I think we settled for some quick threes, so that kind of took us out of the game early, and we had to climb our way back in.
That was just what I was going to ask you. I mean, even through that, the goal with a young team, the goal with you guys has got to be just getting better. And you say you feel like you're getting better.
Yeah, and I think, Lydia Ray's leadership is really um, just, leaps and bounds has grown throughout the season. And in the locker room before the coaches went in after the Concord game, it was nice to hear her just communicate with the players in the locker room, just talking about possessions and how each possession matters, being more aggressive in the paint. So it's things that they're hearing us coaches say, and now it's being, poured into by the players. And I think that, reflected in our St. Joe game.
When you've got that going on, that is, I mean, a lot of times it gets to a point with the coaching staff that it's like Charlie Brown's teacher. I mean, that's what they hear. Right? It's just coach going at it again. But
Yep.
when the other players start buying in, especially your leaders like Lydia or Chloe, I mean, when they're saying it, they have those guys' attention.
100%. 100%.
Who else is stepping up for you? I got to feel, Lydia, she's still young, and it's good to see her doing that because you know what's coming as she continues to develop. I mean, who else is stepping up for you?
Different players, different games.
Yeah.
And I think that, we've talked like the good thing about our group is we are able to go deeper than we have in previous years. Um, and when someone's struggling, we're able to lean on someone else, and they're stepping up in different capacities. What's next is just that consistency, and that again gains comes and gains with it and through experience. So, I think all of our players have had great games. Now it's just finding that consistency. I think Lydia, has been really consistent second half of the season. Does a great job handling the basketball. Um, her teammates feel that poise when she's on the court handling it. And then she also, too, has done a great job on the board. She got a double-double at St. Joe, 14 points and 11 boards just from her aggression.
I'm thinking, looking down the road. I mean, your schedule doesn't get any easier. Obviously, Trey Hall called the game with me last night. He said he was going to scout Northridge, and I said, "Oh wow, that's a program that has been there for a while. You got them coming up. Wawasee's
Yep.
always tough at Wawasee. Culver Academy having a great year. What are you looking for as you go down the schedule here? I mean, obviously you've got some challenges. What do you want to see out of your
Right.
girls as you head down the stretch?
Our word of the day yesterday at practice was endurance. And when I give them a word of the day, I just ask them what they think that word means, and, how we can apply it to our team and our season. And a lot of their eyes popped out when I said endurance. A lot of them thought, oh no, the conditioning today, like it's going to be a lot. And again, Lydia, I'm going to name drop her again. She's like, no, that's not what she means. She's talking about finishing things on a high note. And, that was exactly the message, right? We've faced some adversity. We have a tough schedule, but we have to finish this season with endurance. And that starts in practice every single day, coming and getting 1% better. Um, Again, on the game floor, we are getting better, but that it's just that consistency. But how they finish off this season is what they're able to then take into their limited contact spring workouts and then into next season. this group has no seniors. They're really going to miss Lydia as she, and her family move to Ohio, for her parents' job opportunities at the end of this school year. So they're going to miss Lydia for sure. But, how they finished off this year, we got a strong 8th grade class. It's really going to keep that momentum alive. So you want to end the year on a high note.
We've talked about better a couple of times here in this conversation. Let's talk about both sides of the ball and start with defense. I'm sure you want to get better there. I mean, the numbers are not 41 points a game is not. That's pretty solid. What do you want to get better at on that side of the ball?
Yeah, last year, at this point in the season, we were averaging giving up 43 point something points a game. I can't remember exactly, but I was looking at our Wawasee scout from last year, and it was 43 something that we were giving up. So, defensively, our girls are quick. We're doing a great job of, trapping when we can and getting in the passing lanes, making teams feel uncomfortable. We've struggled, which kind of surprises me with our quickness, with just one-on-one defense, keeping girls in front and being then in the helping outside the paint. So teams have got some easy buckets at the rim against us just because we're struggling keeping girls in front. And that's something that we continue to rep and talk about every single day at practice. We rely on a lot of, underclassmen to perform. And it's just, anticipating. Varsity game is very fast paced. So when the ball swings to the girl that you're guarding, you got to anticipate that drive on a reversal. So it's just things that, we continue to harp on in practice and give them reps so they're able to then execute in game. I think our rebounding has gotten better. It was a weakness of ours early on in the season, first half of the season. And we just talked about rebounding, is a heart issue. And we've done a much better job on the glass. We don't really have true size. So really just being physical, clearing someone out of the paint, and limiting extra possessions.
How about on the offensive side? I'm sure you'd like to score more points than you're scoring, but what ways do you need to get better to do that?
Yeah, that just comes down to shot selection. We have great scores, but when we're taking rush shots within the offense, one pass down to a 3, or trying to split defenders into the paint and then getting stripped, just working the ball around and making crisp passes, attacking gaps when we have the ability to, and then, shooting a wide open inside out 3 or on a ball reversal, attacking down the lane, being strong in the paint off 2 feet. Once our shot selection gets better, this group and points per possession is going to look a whole lot better because they do have the ability to score. Sometimes in the offense, they're just not taking great shots.
I got to feel like a lot of that has to do with confidence too. It's like a hitter, there comes a point where it just clicks and, they know they can do it. They practiced it. They know how to do it. And I got to feel it's really similar with a shooter.
100%. And as a shooter, your job is to be extremely confident in yourself. And, you build that confidence from success, seeing the ball go through the hoop. So that's, coming before practice and getting extra shots up, staying after practice, getting shots up. You have to have the ultimate belief in yourself. Your coaches believe in you if they're running sets to you and keeping you on the floor. We have that belief. But as soon as the shooter, gets that confidence deflated in themselves because they're not seeing the ball go through the hoop, that's an issue, right? Because we need shooters to shoot the basketball and give us a chance to win. We talk to, Liv and Chloe, those that can score from the perimeter. If your shot's not falling, what else can you contribute to the game that night? Can you attack and get a paint touch to score? Can you attack and then get a kick out for, another girl along the perimeter, or a dump down into one of our post players? Peyton and Davis have done a great job, inside the paint, sealing and getting dump downs to score. They've been doing so much better with that. So just giving, other girls opportunities because, I think at the start of the year, we really heavily relied on Chloe to score, but we have other girls stepping up right now, which is great.
I was going to say she was always going to be number one on the scouting report, and so she's also the person that teams are trying to take away from you and having some other. I mean, you had Brooklyn Scruggs. I feel like she's had a good year for you as well. Hayden Shipley is not a freshman in my mind. She never has been. She
Hmm.
plays at a lot different level. I mean, you've got some other girls that it just feels to me like you're on the verge of all of them hitting at the same time because they're right on the edge of that.
Yeah, shout out to Brooklyn Scruggs. We chose to face guard St. Joe's best player. She's a freshman, Ari. She already has Division I offers for basketball.
Right.
She's a great, great basketball player, and she's averaging 30 a game. And Brooklyn had to face guard her the entire game. Talk about a very tough challenge, right? She held Ari 11 points below her average. She scored 19 on the night. And any possession, in the half court offense, it was a challenge for her. Some of those 19 was, us turning the ball over or taking a rush shot, and then St. Joe able to push the ball in transition. So she got some leak out abilities. But in the half court, everything was super well contested. And she really made Ari work for her 19. And then Hayden, too, like, that's why she was able to be on the varsity as a freshman coming in, just because of her pure athletic ability, her aggression, her speed, her strength. Sometimes, you can tell on the floor just with some of her turnovers that's, a freshman turnover. And
Right.
she's gotten so much better at that throughout the season. And she's going to continue to grow. She's going to be dangerous next year and continuing on then into her upperclassmen years, junior and senior.
You got Wawasee tonight. They're always tough at home. I mean, what do you want to do tonight? What do you want to see out of your girls with them?
But yeah, they're a different group too. Heavy senior class last year, just like us. And that senior class had played on the varsity team for years. So they struggled early on in the season, and they're a completely different team than they were at the beginning of the year. What scares me about them just is their inconsistency shooting the basketball.
Yeah.
Some games they're super hot from the 3-point line, and other games they really, really struggle. It's at home for them, so they have that home court advantage where they practice and get extra shots up. So we got to make sure that we're contesting, and they don't get any open looks, from the 3-point line, but also keeping girls in front, helping outside the paint if we get beat on a one-on-one. They do get some dump down opportunities because they play a 4-round-1 offense, couple continuity offenses against man that they run, but they heavily rely on a freshman guard named Barger. And she's a great athlete. She's, leading attempt from 2s and 3s. So we're, again, going to rely on Brooklyn just to make every touch difficult for her. And hopefully, their secondary players, then we do a great job 4-on-4 against them.
Well, Coach, thanks for taking the time. As always, good luck to you tonight. And we've got you next week against the Academy. So I'm sure I'll be bugging you at some point next week for a pregame.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rusty.
That is Michaela Shalio, head coach of the Plymouth Lady Pilgrims, and we'll be right back. And Greg Miller, head coach of the Plymouth Pilgrims, joins me here in this section of the coaches show. And I'm not a guy that hangs out at the gym. Obviously, you can look at me and tell I haven't spent a whole lot of time in the gym. But I got a chance to watch you guys for about 5 or 10 minutes of practice the other night, and I got to say, the fun is still there. You guys are still going at it and having a good time at it, and that's always good to see.
Yeah, I mean it's funny you say that. We had talked as a staff, and I mean I saw you up there, and we said we do have 3 wins this year, and you could go to another team's practice who probably has 8 wins or 9 wins, and they don't practice as hard. They're not as talkative. It's not as it's not as loud as what we have at 3 wins.
Yeah.
So a big credit to the guys there, and we are having fun. We're still getting better. Unfortunately, we've lost several close games this year, and
Yeah.
those are. And I'll be honest, they're starting to weigh on me a little bit. I mean those hurt a little bit longer. But I am proud of the guys because they show up every day. They have a good attitude. They work hard. We're getting better. I do think by the end of the season we will play our best basketball.
I was going to say the way it's happening has got to be frustrating too, because it's just it's not like good things aren't happening. Basically, the times I've seen you, it's finishing shots, and
Yeah,
what do you
yeah.
do about shots not falling?
I mean, that's probably the hardest thing about basketball. You know, my college coach one time said, "I can get you an open shot, I can't shoot it for you."
Yeah,
And so, I mean, it is the truth, and we say in our program we want to live with the result of a good shot, and as long as we're getting good looks offensively, which we've talked about, those are shots at the rim, those are free throws, and those are standstill threes and mid-range jump shots. Like that's what we want. So, you know, I go back to the New Prairie game. We had 16 shots where nobody was within 4 feet of us, you know, and that was our first game back from Christmas break, which is a tough time for anybody. And we just didn't make them that night. And then we play a Valley team and a Mishawaka team next 2 games, and we played really well. We went 18 of 49 from the free throw line. Like, I mean,
yeah.
we are legitimately free throws away from having a completely different record right now. So once again, it's just a credit to the guys of being in these games that maybe we shouldn't be. You know, with like a Mishawaka and a Concord, you see the John Harrell spreads, and you know they're 14 points and 12 points, and you know we're there right at the end of the game. So just a big credit to the guys and how they're continuing to come back right now.
And we talked about free throws last week. I mean, and that's not just you guys. Literally all the bi-county games this week, it's come down to who could make the most free throws, and that wasn't many. so,
Right, right.
so that seems to be universal for some reason. But you know, let's break it down on both sides of the ball. I mean, I know you've been
Yep.
pretty happy with your defense most of the years. That's still the
Yeah.
case.
Yep. Yeah, it is. I mean, we are once again we're in games. You know, you look back at the previous games, like we are defensively we are in them. And basketball is still a shot maker's game. And so if your defense can keep you in the games, you know, your offense tells you by how much you're going to win by. You know, that's once again that's college basketball saying, because in college basketball everybody's pretty good offensively, and you know defensively we're doing our best to keep the ball out of the middle. We've really limited second chance opportunities lately. It's been a huge focus for us. Tonight, I know this will air on Saturday, but going into Friday, Wawasee, that's going to be a tough one. The Akase kid, 6'7" college basketball player, like we've got to keep him off the glass. So this is a big test for us. And then next week we have Brady Scholl, potential Indiana All-Star this year. So, we've done really well keeping teams from second shots, and I'm hoping that we can do that tonight.
And it becomes harder. I mean, you're undersized. I mean, as weird as that is to say, you're undersized for who you're playing, and it becomes a matter of desire, I guess, is what it boils down to.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is the first team I've ever been on playing or coaching that I'm the tallest guy, and I'm a good sized guy myself. I'm 6'6", but I've always had a bigger guy. Even last year, Caden Ellery, like he was a little taller than I was. So I mean, even in elementary, there was always somebody taller than me. We are not a big team. So Coach Plotho is in charge of our rebounding, and we do rebounding every single day to start practice because we are undersized and we know it's an issue. I go back to the Valley and the New Prairie games. Back to back, we give up 2 offensive rebounds in 2 games. I mean, that's huge for us.
Yeah.
In Mishawaka and Concord, more athletic teams, we give a combined 5 offensive rebounds. Like we're doing a really good job on the glass, and for us to be in some of these games and win some of these games, we're going to have to do that moving forward as well.
On the offensive side, I gotta feel like you're really happy to see Caleb Ellery beginning to really get into his zone. And I mean, you need some guys to knock down some shots and make some things happen. He seems like a guy who's willing to do that. I feel like Tyrone is another one who's going to be able to make shots at some point once he's got some more experience. And you got some guys over there. It's just a matter of getting them the time.
Yeah, I mean, once again, the two guys you named are sophomores.
Yeah.
Neither of them can drive yet. I know Caleb doesn't have a permit. I don't think Grayson does either. I mean, they're young, and those are guys we're counting on. That's where we're at right now. And Dan Nguyen is hitting shots again. He had a couple game stretch right there where they weren't going in, and then we moved him off the ball, and Dan has been shooting it. Over 40% from three since Christmas. So expect him to continue getting more shots. Those three guys have been really good, stand still from the perimeter, and we're going to need that from them moving forward. Once again, this is on Saturday, but on Friday night, the Akase kid is a tremendous shot blocker, a top 15 shot blocker in the state. And, for us to be in the game, we're going to have to make some of those jump shots because at the rim, it will be difficult.
Yeah. Well, and we mentioned Young a week ago. We can mention it again. You got a lot of young guys that are playing extremely well. A lot of them at the JV level, which honestly, you know as well as I do, it's a different game at that level. But still, they're showing signs of, hey, I want some playing time too, and I'm going to earn it by the way I play.
Yeah, absolutely. Our freshman team, our C team, and then our JV team, they both have winning records right now, and they're both playing very well. And so those young guys have the ability to play. These next 2 weeks would be pretty difficult for them had we moved them up. With just Wawasee at 10-4, and then Northridge, top 10 team in the state of Indiana. So. But yeah, I would expect to see those guys, playing a little bit moving forward now.
Well, don't forget Goshen. They've had a complete turn.
Thanks
for reminding me. Yeah, you got three in
you
got three in a row here that are just killer.
Yeah, I obviously I had the Wawasee scout, and then I know obviously Northridge is next, and I really just keep an eye on the next one during these months because it's just one a week. But yeah, thanks, Rusty. Goshen at Goshen.
just want to be helpful,
Yeah, it's at one point last year we had the toughest 4-game stretch in the state of Indiana outside of anybody in Hamilton and Marion County in Indianapolis. That's the schedule that we play. We had Penn, St. Joe, McConnell, and Warsaw. Those were our last 4 games last year. So we're ready for anything ahead of us.
Well, I hope so because you got a tough stretch. That C team coach of yours, he needs to step up and do better. That's all I got to say.
I was texting with him last night. They've been playing really, really well, and they had a tough one that we can talk about off air. But yeah, he sent me a funny text.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
He is.
He's a funny guy. I feed him every night. Can you believe that?
Yes, yes, I do. I'm glad you do. I really like it.
I don't know why I do, to be honest with you. But moving forward, what do you want to see? We just mentioned this is a killer. You got 3 teams in a row. I think 3 losses between all 3 of them. What do you want to see out of your guys? I'm sure you got an expectation in your mind. What do you want to see out of them?
The words that we have used is relentless pursuit. We want to see a relentless pursuit of good shots offensively. We want to see a relentless pursuit defensively of getting contested 2s and stops. And then a relentless pursuit of the basketball and rebounds and loose balls. We want to see a relentless pursuit here. Offensively, I still believe we're even against these really good teams with what we do and how we do it, we're going to get good shots. I truly believe that. And then defensively, we're going to have to battle. We are the much smaller team in all 3 of these games coming up. But if we have a relentless pursuit of positioning defensively and talking defensively, if we can do that, I would love to say that I think we can get one of these games because I really do. We're due to beat somebody we're not supposed to. And when we do, it's just kudos to the guys for doing what they're supposed to do.
Man, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Good luck tonight. Good luck for the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure when we got you coming up, but we do here later in the year. Maybe, I know we got you for LaVille at least. So
Perfect.
We'll see you then. I know Plotho was with me at the Pike County the other night.
Oh yeah.
He was doing double duty. He was scouting while he was there. So
Yeah, I know he was. I bet he turned in his mileage too.
if he did, I want to cut. There we go. Anyway, man.
There you go.
Thanks for taking the time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Greg Miller, head basketball coach at Plymouth. And Matt Miller, head coach for the Bremen Lions, joins me. And man, you know, I think I was talking about this with my radio partner the other day. I mean, you know, how long has it been since Bremen basketball was the story in the area? I mean, how in the world could you have a better start than this?
Yeah, you know, we're fortunate in a lot of ways, but yeah, I'm thankful for the way it's gone. Yeah, we've answered the bell in a lot of categories. I still think there's room for us to improve. I mean, I don't think that. I know that for a fact, but I am happy. I mean, it'd be hard to complain. You know, we've done a good job, and I think they're interested in fixing their flaws and keep seeking and better. I think we're still in a good place mentally on all that. So hopefully, stay hungry and keep this thing moving forward.
I'm thinking, you know, everybody's going to talk about your offense. Everybody's going to talk about Chase and the guys that are scoring the ball, but you got to be happiest. I really believe with your defense holding people considerably under 40 points a game. That's something.
Yeah, we've been really, really happy with that. That's certainly where we're gonna hang our hat, and it's nice on the nights when you don't have a lot of offensive flow, you have a little bit more margin for error if you can count on that defense. They've done a good job of keeping teams from stringing too many buckets together in a row. We haven't had a whole lot of big runs on us this year, and yeah, they're taking pride in it. So that's been a really fun thing to watch unfold, that they bought into that and they want to own that and be one of the better defensive teams in the area. And it's certainly carried us at times this season so far.
And, you know, over the years, I mean, that's kind of a Bremen thing. I mean, you know, when you were in the other conference, you know, they have those athletic guys that want to have a track meet every night. But, you know, Bremen's always been kind of an NLC team. Come on, let's strap it on. Let's go after it. Let's play a little physical and you know,
Sure.
let's just get after it. That's just been the MO of Bremen basketball.
Yeah, you're right. You know, we've always played with a lot of multi-sport athletes, a lot of football guys, and you just kind of, you know, and when guys doing a lot of things, you don't get super specialized. So you got to find ways to compete and hang in there. And so like toughness and defense are a way to do that. So yeah, it's certainly been a calling card in the past, and we're happy to kind of carry that flag going forward here.
Pretty sure you're not disappointed with your offense either. I mean, you know, last time I saw you guys play, you got at least 4 or 5 guys that are becoming numbers on the scouting report, so to speak. I mean, you know, you got multiple guys that people have to scout and take care of, and you know, you got to feel good about that too.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the best part of our offense here recently is that we're getting a lot of balance and a lot of contributions. We've got 4 guys that can easily get to double figures every night. I mean, it's rare that we get all 4 of them, but it's possible we get all 4 of them in and above. You know, some of those guys are capable of going above, so that helps us deflect a little attention off of Chase. You know, when he can't get all the attention, and the guys are, you know, kind of feeding off that when they're open and they're able to do things because of all the attention he gets. Their confidence is growing to do that. You know, take advantage of what the defense gives them a little bit. So it has been good. And when the ball moves, we're at our best because there's a lot of get that thing moving, get the defense moving, and we've been finding really good looks and shooting it well, finishing well at the rim. So certainly, my only issue here lately has been I think we settle a little bit for some of the outside shots. We need to get to the basket a little bit more. That we have some length and we have some guys that can do that. So we'd like to see our guys continue to not settle for jump shots a little bit more. But yeah, overall, it's been good.
You know, I got to feel the confidence that builds. I mean, you know, Chase isn't always going to have a great night. you got other guys to go to, and I'm getting the feeling that you got some guys starting to believe in themselves and what you can do as a team.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we kind of been living in both of those camps. Like as individual guys have gotten better and shown what they're capable of, um, let that belief spill into us, not just you as an individual. Keep zooming out, put the team first. Just think about what you can do for the team at all times. And if we have guys passing up good shots to get great shots, some things like that. So I think that's really where we gotta be. Like keep that belief factor high, not just in our kids as individuals. And that's been good to see them. They trust their own games now, and they trust what they're capable of. But the trust and believe in what we are doing together and put that first above anything else. And that'll get us to the pinnacle of what we can be, I think.
Confidence is an infectious kind of thing, isn't it?
It sure is. Absolutely. Yeah. You see that go from one guy to the next, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we might be decent here, So let's keep this going. And this is fun. I mean, it's fun to play this way, and it's fun to, the fact they can trust each other and have confidence in each other is a really cool thing to watch for sure.
Being unbeaten at this point, I mean, obviously you couldn't be better at that point. But I know, coaches, you've got a checklist of things that we need to get better at. I mean, what are the main things on that checklist?
Yeah. So I alluded to one that's like on my mind a lot. The first one is I would like to see us get all the way to the basket more than we do right now. It's a little bit of a big. I mean, some of our strong suits are jump shooting, and so in a handful of our games, the 3-point shot has been a real asset. And because guys are comfortable and confident there right now, I do think we're a little bit quick to take jump shots. And in the nights when you don't have that, I want to have the backbone of what we're doing to be going to the rim through our post players, through our guys that can drive it. That's one thing I'd like to see us improve on for sure. Even with our defense, there's a couple of things I think we can clean up. I think we've been good on the basketball. I think that behind the ball and like our rotation and our help side, there's some things that can get better there. Making some of our guys less reluctant to go and help and to separate from their own men. There's some things there that we can do better. And I think there's some incremental improvement we can do on the glass too, on both ends. I think we could be a better offensive rebounding team, and there's still a little bit to be desired on our defensive rebounding here and there. So those are kind of the main things I've got my eye on.
Well, Coach Owen, thank you for taking the time. Good luck to you tonight, and guess we'll see you in a little while.
Thanks, Rusty. Appreciate the coverage.
That is Matt Miller, head coach at Bremen, and we'll be right back. And Jason Groves joins us, head coach of the Triton Trojans. Man, haven't seen you guys play a number of times in a row here. I don't know. You're hitting a stride. You look really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the first, that's for sure. We had a lot of balance offensively. I think Brady had 18, Jaden Overmeyer 14, and 14, Jameson had 8. So we almost had 4 guys in double figures. I thought we passed the ball well. 19 assists. Landon Patrick had 10. 26 off turnovers, 13 steals. So definitely a good night. I thought our kids were dialed in on both ends of the court, and it showed in their play.
Landon is really stepping it up. The last few games, he has been. It doesn't show up completely in the stat line, but boy, he is on both sides of the floor making a lot of things happen.
Yeah, I mean that's what he does. That's point guard that's been playing for us for 3 years and does a great job. I mean, he's kind of the leader of our team. Gets us going offensively, gets us going defensively. Just makes a lot happen on both ends of the court for us. Some things you said don't show up on the stat sheet, but he creates a lot for others, giving them opportunities to score, and eventually just creates havoc at times and, getting deflections, getting steals, and turning it into offense. Definitely, and he did a great job on Edison too. He was rotating in with Gage Riffle, and both guys did a great job on Lance, and so I think they held him to 6 points. I think he had a 3 the first possession of the game, and then scored 3 points after that. So yeah, a lot of credit to those two.
And the other part of that with Lennon too is the attitude. I mean, there's just a real swagger about what he does, and in a lot of ways, I feel like he's getting in the other guy's head.
Yeah, definitely. That's what you want out of your senior leader. He obviously brings it each and every game, and he kind of sets. I feel like he sets the tone for our team. He kind of when he's into it and he's getting after it defensively, the rest of our team is doing the same. So it's nice to have a player like that to be able to create stuff for you when maybe you're struggling offensively. He can create steals on the defensive end and get you going. So definitely a very valuable player for us. That's for sure.
Mentioned Gage earlier too, and something that I've noticed in him, years past, he's a deadly spot up shooter. I mean, off a screen, give him a look, and he's going to kill it. But it seems to me like he's really selling out on the defensive end more this year than he has in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we've had to do that. I mean, that was one thing. We lost probably our two better defenders, Dante Workman and Tanner Oyo last year, and so we kind of needed Gage and Landon and some other guys to really and Julian Swanson to step up defensively and guard the other team's best player. And so Gage has done that a lot. Gage has some length to him, and Gage can run forever too. So he has a lot of stamina and can do that throughout the game and still be productive on both ends of the court. And so that's one reason we rely on him to do that, and he's been doing a really good job on the opposing team's best players. So. Just really emerging as a really good on-ball defender for us.
The other thing that I've noticed too over the past week or so is just simply the fact that, you guys have always been physical, but there's almost I don't know how to explain it, a chip on your shoulder. I mean, you're just like you're not going to get out physical by anybody, and that's an interesting thing to see for me. I mean. Just really very aggressively, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, I mean you got to be that way. Honestly, when you're not as tall as we are, we're vertically challenged, so we got to get after it, be physical defensively, and I think our kids take pride in that. They work hard in the weight room, and we have some football guys that I think enjoy that style of play. And it plays to their strengths. They're physically strong kids, and they want to get after people. And so, definitely. And when you're shorter in size, you got to use leverage, use your physicality to offset that somehow. So I think our guys do a nice job of that. We expect that out of them too.
It's almost becoming like an intimidation factor. I mean, don't tread on me, man. I'm going to come after you. And that really has been interesting to watch. I mean, you guys have always been a little bit that way, but this group just really seems like they've really taken that as their identity.
Yeah, I mean, I think they like that. I think they like being the tough team, the tough defenders, the tough guys, I guess you could say, the strong guys. And so, they just play into who we are, I guess. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy the physical aspect of the game. It's gotten a lot more physical as the years have gone on, and you got to adjust to that. And, our kids embrace that, and they realize it's successful. You're physical back. We talk about fundamental physicality. Not being physical just for the sake of being physical,
Right.
But be fundamental when you're doing it. So I think they've really taken that on, and we're getting better fundamentally as well.
Well, Coach, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Jason Groves, head coach at Triton.
Sounds good.
And joining me in this segment, Kyle Evans, the head coach at Culver. Man, a really good win for you guys the other night.
Yeah, thanks. We've been able to string back-to-back really solid performances. And we said after the Triton game, hopefully that was kind of a turning point for us. And, with a young team, you kind of talk about January being the time when they start to kind of hit their stride. And I feel like that's what we've done the last 2 weeks. So hopefully that continues into this weekend.
I was going to say, you do have a really young team. I mean, a couple of the guys have got some varsity experience, but, other than the brothers there, you don't have a lot of guys with a lot of experience.
No, and our nucleus of guys is really 3 sophomores and 2 juniors, and then Jonas and Caleb are obviously experienced seniors. But truly not a ton of experience, a lot of youth, and but we've seen a lot of growth because of that. And they still got a long ways to go, and their ceiling's extremely high. And it's kind of the perfect mix right now of our two seniors, Jonas and Caleb. Of they're really starting to play well themselves, and our younger guys are starting to feel more comfortable in their varsity roles. And defensively, we've been solid all year. And the last against John Glenn, it was probably as far as execution is concerned, one of our better games I've seen from our group. So we're trending in the right direction. Hopefully it stays that way.
Let's talk about your offense a little bit, simply because the times I've seen you, you struggle to hit shots, and that's got to be frustrating for everybody, because it's not like you're not taking good ones; they just aren't dropping.
Yeah, and we put a big emphasis since Christmas break of playing to our absolute strengths. We've got a lot of guys that can create off the dribble, get into the paint. Some can score at the rim. Some can score at that little 6 to 8 foot range with a little jump shot or a floater. Then we got a couple bigs they can catch quick dump offs, get up at the rim and score. And we've really emphasized playing to those strengths. And even though our early struggles have been absolute wide open good looks, our guys have done a great job of executing to get those looks. That's partly on me. They weren't really to their strengths. We got a couple guys that can string some outside perimeter shots. And we got a couple guys that we think can become really consistent perimeter shooters, but that's really truly not strengths of most of our guys. And that's partly on me. Emphasizing maybe the wrong things, but we've kind of flipped our mindset of saying, let's get to this sort of part of our game. And in the John Glenn game, we only attempted 9 threes, and the rest of our 40 shots or whatever were from 2, and they were all within about 10 feet in. And we made 19 twos. We shot 45% from the floor, and that's something we have not done all year. So our guys did a really good job of buying into getting to their strengths, and me getting out of their way.
Sometimes as a coach, that's what you got to come to the realization is, okay, let's just play the way we know we can play. And, putting up 58 points, that's a drastic departure for you guys.
Yeah, I'll be honest, we went in that game, with John Glenn's athleticism, we kind of went in with the same mindset of Triton as we got to control the pace. We don't want a horse race. We don't want 70 possessions of offense and defense. Let's limit it to 50 or less and play that way. Well, just the way John Glenn guarded us, where they were kind of up pressuring us, and they were pressing some, and then they were trapping. We had no choice but to just go score it.
Yeah.
And that's what our guys did. And we had guys that early in the year had been struggling to finish. Were really finishing around the rim really well. John Carr had 13 points all at the rim. And he's gotten those looks all year, but has really struggled to finish. And he was finishing consistently in that game. Braylon Jackson finished consistently at the rim. Drake Zorich finished consistently at the rim. And then Jonas and Caleb were able to kind of get to their mid-range, and Caleb knocked down a couple threes. So we had 4 guys in double digits. That's never happened since I've been at Culver. And for a team that's been struggling offensively, to get 4 guys in double figures, that is a massive accomplishment.
Yeah, that is. And let's talk about the other side of the ball now, because no more bodies than you have. It amazes me the way you're able to play defense, because we've talked about it before. I talked about it with Jason Groves a couple of weeks ago. I said, as a player, having all those guys coming at you at once, it's like, somebody's open, but where the hell are they? How do you do that?
Well, part of it is we drill to play that way. So it's our daily habits we build every day. And another thing is our guys are really smart in our defense. They understand how to play angles really well. They communicate really well. And our guys on the bench do a really good job of communicating too. And that helps our guys on the floor. And we just play with a ton of energy on the defensive end. And our guys take pride in it. They know that gives us a chance. And, against John Glenn, we forced 22 turnovers, I believe. Of those 22 turnovers, 17 of them were steals.
Yeah.
Braylon Jackson had 8 steals. And, that's an absurd number, but, not unlike us to force 10 to 15 steals in a game. But really, it's not just about forcing steals or turnovers. It's about forcing teams into uncomfortable shots, putting them in uncomfortable positions in their normal zone O. It's not – when teams say we're a zone team, I mean, I guess we are, but I don't even I don't say I'm a zone coach. I'm a pressure defense coach. And
Right.
That's kind of what we just align in what looks like a zone. And, it's more of a matchup sort of thing. But our defense allows us to be in ball games, we think. If we start consistently clicking on the offensive end, we can string some wins together. And, that's kind of what we're hoping for down this last stretch of the season.
There's a certain physicality to what you guys do too, and every team I've seen you that you've coached, you're not afraid of fouling somebody. There's just a certain intimidation level of I'm not backing off of you, and saw that the other night at Triton. They've got the same thing. It was fun for a guy outside of that. It was fun to watch two teams just literally beating on each other, and it was that kind of a game.
That was one of my concerns going into Triton. We're typically one of the more physical teams on the floor every night, but going into the Triton, just their physiques. I mean, they look impressive. I'd said a couple of their guys look like WWE wrestlers, and I challenged our guys. We're not the thickest guys on the floor, but I challenged them. I said, you're going to have to meet their physicality, or it's going to be a long night. And our guys had no issue doing that. And I credit the officiating crew because they allowed it to be played like a postseason game without letting it get out of control. There was no just blatant fouls being let go. It was just good physical basketball. And, I credit the officiating crew for that. That was, which I don't do often. So I credit those guys. They did a good job that night. And, both teams were physical and both teams played great defense. And, it was a fun game to be a part of, and it was a game that made us get better. And, and then Triton had a good bounce back game against LaVille. So I think, it helped get them better too. So, we got to come out tonight with that same sort of physicality, but we got to be smart with it. And, we can't get caught up and just let's be physical and get ourselves in foul trouble sort of thing, but do it within what we do. And my dad probably had one of the best comments I've heard about our defense. And, he played against us, and he said, right when you think you're wide open, all of a sudden you've got 2 chests and forearms in your face. And he's like, right when you think you got a wide open layup, oh, boom, there's 2 guys in your face before you even can think about scoring it. And, that's what we got to be tonight.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time as always. And good luck tonight. I guess we'll see you in just a little bit.
I appreciate you. I'll see you tonight.
It's Kyle Evans, head coach at Culver. And we're joined with our Tony the Boss Ross Athletes of the Week this week, Angel Smith and Caroline Balika. Am I right? Is that Balika? Very good. All right. I clarified this before. You both are multiple state champion contenders. Angel, you've been there 3 times, and Caroline, you've been there twice. I'm going to start with you, Angel. Is there anything different? I mean, has it been different each time? Or, what's different about now this year than before?
Definitely has been different each time. So my freshman year was a bit of a messy season. I didn't wrestle the whole season. We've talked about that. My sophomore year, I had the whole season. I had the whole summer of training, too. I felt well prepared going into the state tournament, and I had my family. I had everything. I had her. And I also had our 100, Jaden Eskew, who qualified too. So I was there with some friends. I ended up getting 3rd and fell short in the semifinals. I was winning that match. So that was definitely an emotional year, but everything went good that year going into state, and I felt great going in. And then this year has definitely been the best year so far. trained all summer way more intensely with her right by my side the entire time. We both did it. And it was just me and her that qualified this year, but she's been my main partner all year. We've both been like on the same level every single day, training with the goal of being a state champion in mind. So this year for me, being a state champion was my main goal going into state, and that was something like I really felt equipped to prepare for and go do. And it also helped having her, like, she's my main partner every single day. She has the same goals as me, and she knows me like nobody else does. And we were there together. We made it to the finals together and ended up falling short in the finals, but this year was definitely the best year I've had so far out as a junior.
Caroline, talk about your experience. I mean, what was different this year as opposed to last year? Was it easier? Was it tougher? I mean, talk about that.
Well, last year I just didn't really know what to expect because it was my first actual high school season. I started wrestling in February of 2024, so that was a little bit after Angels freshman state series. So once I got to my sophomore year and I started wrestling in high school, I just didn't really know what to expect. Like, I had been wrestling for a couple months previously, but like I didn't know what competition looked like. I didn't know what like girls wrestling looked like in Indiana. So, and it was a pretty solid season considering that it was my first year. I ended up qualifying for state, and then I just kind of fell short in my blood round at state. And then this year, I'm honestly just a completely different person. Like, I know that it hasn't necessarily been like a long time, but like she said, like we trained super intensely all summer. Like we would train 3 times a day, and I was just definitely much more prepared, and I also had much bigger goals considering that like I knew what the scene looked like, and I just grew a passion for that sport. So yeah, but this year has definitely been like a blessing. It's been different, but both of them have had like their own like good and bad memories. So
talk about that a little bit. I mean, you had not wrestled before. What made you interested in starting?
So I moved to Indiana from Illinois my freshman year, and I had previously done judo, which is a martial arts sport, and I did that in Illinois, but they don't really have many judo clubs around here, so I kind of just thought that I wasn't going to do a sport. I actually did swim for a little bit, and I was god-awful at that. I was, like, genuinely the worst swimmer, like, anybody's ever met. So my brother was on the wrestling team, so my parents were like, okay, you got to try this because, you know, it's somewhat similar to judo, and, like, if you're going to be good at anything, you're going to be good at this. So I practiced for the first time, and she was my practice partner, and I low-key thought she hated me, but she just locked in during practice. So, and then I ended up just, like, loving it from the start. So
Angel, let's talk about you a little bit. I mean, this may be a little bit weird question, but your family is like wrestling, I mean, and MMA and that kind of stuff. If your family had not been involved with it, do you think this is something you would have been interested in doing even with that?
That's a little bit of a hard question, but I think I'd probably say no, because I know that for me, wrestling is definitely about the family for me. It's always been about my brothers and about my family. It's what we based our life around. It's my dad's whole life. He made a career out of it. So I definitely followed in suit with like my family and my brothers. I saw what they were doing when I was younger, and I just wanted to be like them. So I would not be as involved as wrestling if it wasn't for my family. So
I got a feeling you got no regrets.
Absolutely not. This is a lifestyle that we live every day, and I love it, and it makes me who I am, and it's my favorite thing about my life.
What is it that you like the most?
It's very deserving. Wrestling itself teaches discipline. It teaches that you're entitled to nothing. You can work so hard for everything, but something my dad always tells me is that the dream is the journey. So it's a deserving sport. You work so hard, and sometimes you don't always get the outcome. Sometimes you do, and that's what makes it so amazing. But yeah.
Caroline, obviously you love what you're doing too. I mean, what is it about this that attracts you? What makes you love it?
I think it's just the fact that like she said, it's very like deserving, but it's also like you can also see your work like be reflected on the mat. So when I first started, like obviously like I mean there was some sort of natural talent, but compared to like previous sports that I had done, like I realized that I really had to work for what I wanted. So just being able to, work so hard in the summer and then actually like seeing results and seeing change, and even just watching film and seeing the difference from where you were last year to where you are now, it gives you like a different kind of sense of accomplishment. So
Let's talk about you guys a little bit. We'll start with you, Caroline. I mean, do you have a favorite subject in school? And give us your mom and dad's names, any brothers and sisters' names. Give a shout out to them, too.
So, I don't have a favorite subject in school. I don't really like school. But I do, I do still work hard. I know that education is important, and my parents are immigrants from Romania. So, that's my mom, Victoria, my dad, Victor, and my brother, Victor, and, they named me Caroline for whatever reason. But, they're immigrants from Romania, so I always know that I still have to work hard and make the most of my opportunities. So, yeah, I still try. I just don't necessarily have a favorite part of it.
Angel, I know your whole family. I mean, your dad is the wrestling coach, but you got brother. Just give them a shout out and tell me, what. Talk about yourself. Do you have a favorite subject in school?
I don't know about favorite because it's not necessarily my favorite some days, but I do have a best subject, and I would say that it's math. Math has always clicked for me since I was young. I've always been in like accelerated math. I'm taking calculus as a junior. Last year I took trigonometry and pre-calc. So math is something that I actually kind of enjoy because I'm pretty good at it for some reason. But sometimes it makes me frustrated because it's hard. But as far as my family, my dad, Travis Smith, my mom, Courtney Smith. Should I go down the line?
You go ahead.
Okay.
You got a bunch of them.
Gavin Smith is my oldest brother, and he was on the floor with me at state. Him and my dad are my number one coaches. But I still love all my brothers coaching, and I respect all of them for the wrestlers they were. Dominic Smith, my brother Caden Smith, my other brother Wesley Smith. They were all such talented wrestlers, and I wouldn't be who I am without them today.
Was there ever any competition in your house?
Every day. It comes, sometimes they'll be measuring their biceps in the kitchen and decide whose is bigger. It literally, everybody's competitive. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's thumb war, we're all trying to beat each other. And normally I am never the winner, but every day is a competition, but it's also a healthy competition. We just make each other better.
What do you think you're going to take away from this as you go on through life? I mean, obviously there's going to come a day when you're not going to be able to wrestle anymore. What do you want to get out of this as you move on?
Wrestling teaches a lot of life qualities, and I think one of the biggest ones that I can take away from this sport is just hard work, how to dedicate yourself to something and never halfway committing to something. It's something that my dad brings up a lot in the room, like in the wrestling room during practice. Like, he'll get on me sometimes for halfway cleaning something, and like if you halfway do a move in wrestling, you're not going to be successful with it. So completely committing to things, working at something with all your might. When I grow up and have a job someday, I know I'm going to be a good worker. I know that I'm going to go in there and get my job done, do my tasks for the day and commit to it fully, because that's what this sport has showed me to do.
Caroline, same question for you. I mean, what do you want to take away from this when your wrestling days are over?
Honestly, just like it's taught me so much discipline, and just like so much like just coming to an understanding that if you do really want to excel in something and you do really want to be good at something, like you do have to be committed to it. And like she said, like it's just you can apply wrestling to your entire life. Like if you can't even commit yourself to just a hobby, like how do you expect to do that in like the workplace? And like if you can't, if you're in a match and maybe you're down by 7 points and oh no, what are you gonna do? It's like same thing if you're working and you're trying to make like money for your family, what are you gonna do? Like you always have to find a solution, and I think it's kind of taught us those traits that we're gonna need when we have families of our own and when we're adults. So.
I know you're only juniors, both of you, but Angel, let's start with you. You thought any about college or something you might want to do after your high school days are over?
I definitely want to wrestle in college. I haven't really decided where. Some schools have reached out. I've reached out to some schools. I think that's something that I'm definitely going to worry about more come senior year, because I still have a lot of off-season tournaments to get some accolades up for other colleges to start noticing me. But As far as a career choice, I want to go into the medical field. That's something I've always wanted to do because of my mom. Even some of my brothers right now are working in the medical field. My grandma works in the medical field. So that's something I've always been based around in my life. Wrestling and honestly the medical field is the two things that make us our family who we are. So I haven't decided exactly what career yet, but definitely something down that road.
Caroline, same question for you. You had any thoughts about what you're going to do when high school's over?
Well, I've always known that I wanted to be in the medical field, and I've always known that I wanted to be a nurse because my mom she was a nurse. And I've just, that's something that I've always been drawn to, and every time that I've done a class that's, in that field, I've always, done really well. And I also just really like helping people. I'm a big, empath, and I really, put myself in people's shoes, so that's something that I feel like I would be really good at. But when it comes to, wrestling in college, it's funny because, I get that question, and it's, I know that I'm good enough to wrestle in college, but it's crazy because, this has all just happened so fast, and, 2 years ago, I didn't even, know what a takedown was, so it's, just, thinking about it, and it's, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it. There's just, a lot that I have to, educate myself with and, update myself on and just kind of, explore. So I'm definitely still thinking about it, but I'm definitely not against it.
Ladies, congratulations, and I'm sure we're going to have this conversation. We may as well just make an appointment to do this again in a year. So
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time, get to know us, and good luck to you as you go on.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
It's time to announce this week's Tony the Boss Ross Athlete of the Week, given in honor of longtime Marshall County, a Max 98.3 broadcaster who died suddenly a year ago. His legacy of dedication to his craft, unending work ethic, and devotion to the athletes and coaches in this area will never be matched. And that's the legacy we try to honor each week with this award. We'll tell you who won it this week right after a word from Johnson Danielson Funeral Home.
Johnson Danielson Funeral Home has been established in the community of Plymouth since 1879, and its staff is committed to providing care that goes beyond the expected in serving today's families who call Marshall County their home. They welcome families seeking options and alternative ways to pay tribute to someone, from burial packages to pre-planning to planning a checklist. The professionals, along with caring staff at Johnson Danielson, are available to assist your family 24 hours a day by simply calling 574-936-2829. Visit their website at johnsondanielson.com for a complete list of services. Johnson Danielson Funeral Home. Service beyond expectation.
And our award winner this week had a heck of a week. Theron Carrington from Culver. Not only was he named the most outstanding wrestler at the HNAC meets over the past weekend, he was also named this week as an academic all-state football player. So Theron Carrington from Culver, very deserving of our Tony the Boss Ross Athlete of the Week award. He'll receive a certificate, history of the award, a T-shirt commemorating that achievement, and will also be a future guest on this show. Theron will be eligible for our Tony the Boss Ross Max 98.3 Athlete of the Year award later in the spring, which carries with it a plaque and a college scholarship, and that's compliments of Max 98.3 and Johnson Danielson Funeral Home. Tony the Boss Ross Max 98.3 Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Johnson Danielson Funeral Home of Plymouth. It's going to do it for another Coaches Show this week, so have yourselves a great weekend. Don't forget tonight, Bi-County Finals action at Daly Cox Gymnasium at LaVille. We'll be there for that. And the boys and girls finals both get underway. Girls at 6:30. Our pregame will start at 6. And the tip-off, as always, at 6:30. Join Peyton Skirvin and myself for all that play-by-play action coming up tonight. And have yourselves a great weekend.